what I'd love to do this evening for our winter solstice celebration here, healing celebration, is I would love if all of you might just drop your a kind of a quick hello to myself and to everybody else in the room. In the chat box, as I mentioned, I'm here, Karen from Dublin. So I'm joining you from Dublin here. It's already dark here. I know some of you are in very bright, I can see some of you have lovely bright sunshine behind you, not so lucky here. But just also for any of you who don't know me, I'm a medium and an author. I live in New York City. I have a private practice there, and I also teach there, and I can see some familiar faces here from those classes as well. So it's lovely to see you all again. My book sort of tells the story of how I got from being a skeptic and a journalist and a war correspondent to mediumship, which was a whole sort of strange and unusual journey in and of itself. And I actually wrote that up for a book that was published last year by White Crow Books that I'm very happy to say is on 3 US bestseller lists on Amazon this week. So people must be buying it for people for Christmas. So I'm very grateful for that, but it's called Till Death Don't You Part, and it's really the story of the subtitle of Awakening to Love, Afterlife, and lots more. And this is what's brought me here with all of you here today. So just in the chat there while I'm yapping, let's see. So lots of people. So we've got Sussex, Butte, Montana, nice and bright there, New York City, Texas, beautiful. Another New Yorker, somebody from Sweden, from Wicklow, not too far from me here. Tennessee, New Jersey. Oh, they're going so fast I can't keep up. Oregon, North Cornwall, it must be cold and windy there. Finland, hello Finland. Oops, I've lost track. Where else am I? They're flying up. Omaha, Nebraska, Florida, hope it's warm there. Pittsburgh, Chicago, another person from New Jersey, from Misty, UK, the Misty United Kingdom, Nova Scotia, Finland, another Finn, Singapore, wow, must be very late in Singapore. What have we got here? We've got Toronto, we've got Northern Ireland, Woodstock, how about that? Ohio, Baton Rouge, Germany, hello Germany, London, Gothenburg, beautiful. Another New Jersey person, Minneapolis, Nova Scotia, that must be cold, Vancouver, somebody near the equator who just wrote always warm here at the equator, New York City. So beautiful. So it's lovely to see you. And I do see some other faces. So I know there are some other Irish people in there as well, because I can see your faces in my little windows there. Mississauga, Ontario. If I pronounced that right, I'm sorry if I didn't. And Long Island. So Long Island, New York. And just while we're waiting, some more people coming in. So beautiful. So I would just like you to, if you're on gallery mode, just take a little look around the room to all your fellow spiritual seekers and healers coming today. We will be doing quite a nice healing practice later, both for yourself, for your loved ones, and also together as a group. For those of you who have done healing workshops with me before, you probably know that when we sit with the group, even though it's on Zoom, which is phenomenal, really, the power of the healing is so much more amplified with the group. I can see Stephen there nodding away. You've done this with me before. You can all get very toasty when you are working together. So I've been asked to talk about the difference between mediumship and psychism. I'm actually, if you don't mind, not going to get into that, because this really is an evening of healing. And that's a very big question. I could be talking about it for half an hour, but we will probably be talking about mediumship and psychism and living as a medium. Maybe I can do another talk on that another time. On life as a medium, people always think that there's another person sitting at the table and I'm having a conversation with them at the same time, which is obviously not how it works. But maybe I will do that, give a talk another time, and just sort of life as a medium, perhaps, if anyone is interested. But tonight I just do want to focus on healing. So the other thing I wanted to focus on is still people signing in. So we'll just, I know an email went out saying it starts at 5:30, so we'll just give the people who are still signing in a few minutes to come in. But what I would like to talk about is the reason for this evening and the reason for doing the Winter Solstice from Newgrange. For anybody who knows about Newgrange, it's a very, very, very special place at the time of the Winter Solstice. Now, it's what we call here in Ireland a thin place as well. And for those of you who are interested, I gave a talk on Halloween for the One Spirit Learning Alliance on the thin places. Was for Samhain, and it was on the thin places in Ireland. That talk was about the Cave of the Cats, which for those of you who don't know is the gates of hell, and it's sitting in a farmer's field here in Ireland. So I did give a talk on that, and if you're interested in listening to that, I believe it's on YouTube at the moment, so you could just search for me or my channel on YouTube and you'll see that. So that was an interesting little chat. So Newgrange is another thin place, but it's got a phenomenal history in that it was built in 3200 BC. Now, if any of you have any questions, like I said, just type them in the chat and I will get to them about Newgrange. The beautiful thing about Newgrange and why it's fabulous for the winter solstice is it has a doorway, which I'll talk to you about more in a minute, that opens to the rising sun on the winter solstice. And when the sun rises, this whole chamber lights up. Now, it is at the moment UNESCO, well, has been for a while, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has about 200,000 visitors a year. But if you want to go into Newgrange, which is, it's basically a passage, well, it's kind of known as a passage tomb, but there's so much more to it than that, which I'll explain. If you do want to go into Newgrange on the solstice to experience the light, you have to enter a lottery now, because people from all over the world try to come to Newgrange to see the light of the dawn on the winter solstice. So Newgrange, I have a little PowerPoint here. Let me show you some photos. So this is just a night shot, actually, a friend of mine took who works at Newgrange. It's a beautiful shot of Newgrange in the evening. Now, for those of you who are still wondering, what on earth is it? So this is Newgrange from an aerial view of Newgrange. It's actually what has become known as a passage tomb. It's called Sí an Bhrú, which is it's the Sí being the two of the Danann, the ancient gods of Ireland, who have been shrunken down to the size of fairies now. But once upon a time, they were the all-powerful gods of Ireland, the two of the Danann. And this became part of sort of Celtic heritage, even though it was built long before the arrival of the Celts. It was built by Neolithic man in Ireland over 5,000 years ago. Now, what's extraordinary about this is these passage tombs are dotted really all over Ireland, but the biggest of them are in the Boyne Valley, which is not too far from Dublin here. And there's three of the very large ones, Newgrange, Knowth and Douth. They are these massive passage tombs. Inside these are passages into inner chambers. Now, Newgrange has been restored, as you can see. I'll show you what it looked like in 1967 in a few minutes. But, hang on, where am I? So this is Knowth. This is the other one. It's got these little satellite mounds around it, as you can see. This is in the same sort of complex as Newgrange, Neolithic complex. This is Douth. This is another one which I've been in. This one's fantastic. Anyone's in Ireland. This one's not open to the public because back in the 1800s, they tried to excavate it and collapsed. You can see the middle of it. So you have to actually, I've been up to Douth. You have to really know the locals to find it, to be honest. I actually drove around a back road and climbed over a wall. There was a bull in the field. I was trying to get around to get in to see Douth because there's no signs to it, because it's not structurally safe anymore because of the botch job they made. The Royal Irish something society tried to excavate it. The gate to the passage is actually closed. I don't have a photograph. I actually do have photographs, but I don't have it on my slides here. You can actually see into the center of the tomb. It's very, very eerie. I've always maintained that if you want to experience the ghosts of Ireland, go to Douth. You can feel the presence there in Douth because there's no traffic. Like the thing about Newgrange is that it has, where's it gone? This has 200,000 visitors a year, so a lot of traffic there. Douth is only open in the summer, but Douth nobody goes to. It's just like this amazing, amazing atmosphere. You can really feel the thinness. When they say the thin places in Ireland, we're talking about the thinness of the veil between the two worlds. Places all over Ireland, I've said this before, you can't go anywhere without tripping over them, although these things are massive. So, but there's little ones like Bhrú has smaller ones. You can actually go in and sit inside. Nobody could be bothered. Nobody tries to stop you. They're just everywhere. These ones are more. This is Tara. Probably a lot of you have heard of Tara from Gone with the Wind, but this is the original Tara. This was the High Kings, the seat of the High Kings of Ireland. Now, it's not as old as Newgrange and Douth. And on these little circles, there were forts. In the background here, it's sort of just off the middle, I don't know if you can see where my cursor is, that is a little mound, a little passage tomb. That was actually used for hostages. They kept hostages in there. You can still see in the gates. But so this was Tara's where the High Kings were, the High King of Ireland, Cormac McCart, McCart being the original McCarthy. McCarthy is the son of McCart, so I've always said, sort of tongue-in-cheek, this is my ancestral home, Tara. So I want to just get back to, so this is all in the Boyne Valley. It's a beautiful shot of Newgrange. These boulders weigh over a ton each. And nobody knows how Neolithic man 5,000 years ago managed to get these, or where they came from, because they're not found in the Boyne Valley, how they got them. And they've stood them all up like this, all around the passage tomb. I mean, it's just a phenomena how they got these up. So this is the entrance to Newgrange. Now, what's beautiful about the story of Newgrange is you can see there, this of course is restored. This is not what it looked like 50 years ago, but you can see there's a little box over the entrance. Can you see that? And what they realized was back in I think it was, what was it, 18, I mean, basically what happened was the Battle of Kinsale, for those who will go very, very briefly into Irish history, the Battle of Kinsale was the final battle in 1699 of the Irish against the British. Irish lost, obviously. It started an 800-year occupation of Britain in Ireland. Now, after the Battle of Kinsale, the Irish chieftains fled, whatnot, anybody was up. So the English took over the land. And a man called Charles Campbell took over this area of the Boyne Valley. And his workmen were looking for rocks to build a wall for the farmland. And they were pulling rocks away from Newgrange. And when they were pulling the rocks away, they realized there was this gateway, this doorway, this little box over it in the middle of this pile of rubble. So, of course, Charles Campbell called in an antiquarian, sort of a, what would you call, I don't know what would you call an antiquarian these days. But they actually found there was this really long, a 17-foot long passageway, or actually it's 60 feet long, 17-meter long passageway into this, and I'll show you pictures of it in a minute, into this inner chamber where there were 3 chambers. And of course, the British decided that it was, and it was covered in these swirls, which you've probably seen. See, I think you can see, we can't see them on this rock. Let me show you. There's me and the doorway. See the swirls on that massive rock there? You've probably seen them a lot on sort of Celtic art. So this is Neolithic art. This is pre-Celtic, but it's been really adopted. You see this in a lot of places for anything related to Ireland or the Irish. Of course, the English thought these were barbarous sculptures, and this had to be a place of sacrificial death on the part of the ancient Irish, of course, you know. And so, and then the British decided that the Danes, the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, anybody but the Irish must have built this, because, of course, the Irish couldn't have been capable of something so remarkable, which, of course, wasn't true. So the beautiful thing about it is that it's only the locals that really understood the myth of Newgrange, because in Newgrange, it was considered the place where 3 times the sons of kings dwelled. And well, it was Cuchulainn, which is a great Irish hero in Irish mythology. He was said to have been conceived there. He was part god. He was conceived of a god and a woman, and he was said to be conceived in Newgrange. The Sí, as I mentioned, the Tuatha Dé Danann, the gods of Ireland, Ingus of the Sí was the king of the Sí. When his godson died, he brought his godson to Newgrange, put him in one of these chambers, because as a thin place, he was going to be, it said it would put an aerial life into him so that Angus could talk to him every day. So this is part of the reason why the myth of Newgrange being a thin place has kind of sprung up, because it's a place where you can commune also with the dead. They say, as I say, there's been a lot of tourists, so it's not that easy to sense them there anymore. So it actually now is the repository of the largest, I believe the largest repository of Neolithic art in all of Europe. Now, for the Americans present, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. When I crawled into that passageway the last time I was there, I noticed somebody had scrawled Disney 1822 into the rock. So besides all of this Neolithic artwork, there's this sort of Disney 1822 carved into the rock. So it's been there for that since 1822. Now in 1867, and this one I'll get back to our talk here, Michael O'Kelly, who's an archaeologist here, everyone was baffled as to why there was this little box over the doorway, you know, because once you go into this tomb, it has never leaked one drop in 5,000 years. This cave has never had a drop of water in it. It's so dry. When you go in, you can feel it on the air. It's so dry, and you have to sort of squeeze in through this little passageway. I'll show you some pictures in a moment. In 1967, Michael Kelly, the architect, went and he was trying to figure out what the little lintel box over the entrance was for, because it doesn't exist in Nowth or Dowth or any of the other passage tombs. And he was sitting there, and what he noticed, and also what they noticed, was that the door was orientated to the rising sun, but it never did anything. Right, except for this one morning on the winter solstice in 1967, when Michael O'Kelly was sitting in front of it. And he noticed what happened was, as the sun rose, the light went into the lintel box and lit up the whole passage tomb and lit up the three inner chambers, and the whole passage and the whole inner chambers, like 17 meters of down, were filled with bright light. And then as soon as the sun, then it went dark. So the only time that this passage tomb is lit up is for a few minutes, for 17 minutes on the morning of the winter solstice. And it actually lights up for a couple of minutes, for 17 minutes on either side of the winter solstice, but it's really the morning of the winter solstice. It lights up the inner chamber for 17 minutes and then goes dark again, and then stays dark until the following year. So you can see that lintel box. It looks like anything, but that's how remarkable it is. What they haven't been able to understand is how the Neolithic man 5,000 years ago was able to figure this out and was able to build this monument to the light. So this is why I wanted to talk about Newgrange this evening when we're doing, there's the back of Newgrange, there's me, you can see all of the rest of the artwork, no Disney graffiti there, but that's all this beautiful artwork all around the edges of it. It's massive. You can see that's just the bottom of it. So you can see how massive this thing is, because that's me. I don't even come up to the ridge. This is what it looked like in 1967 when they discovered it. There's also the cows would graze on top of it, which is sort of sitting there in the country before they started to restore it. So this is why I say this was all over Ireland. Now this is the inner chamber. And you can see how long it is, just these slabs the whole way down this passageway. And as the light rises, it just creeps along this floor the whole way down to the inner chamber. And then the inner chamber is set up with three chambers around it. Now, apparently, like Joseph Campbell has spoken about, you can see the way the light comes in over that little lintel box there, goes the whole way down the passage and lights up the stone basin that's in the forest alcove. There's three alcoves in the back of the caves. Now, that's just another very, very old picture of it. See how long it is. I mean, it's extraordinary that all that light can just come through that little tiny box and fill up this whole passageway and light up that chamber in the background. It's absolute. Now, they do simulate, anybody who's interested in going to Newgrange, you can go all year round. And they do have a light there that they simulates the light of the sun, so you can actually go and sort of experience how the light creeps up. And you can well, you can't now because of COVID, but you used to be able to everybody cram into those little alcoves where the English thought we sacrificed the living, which in actual fact is a thin place where noblemen, you know, where distinguished people were buried. What they did find was there were a lot of you know, the way Joseph Campbell, as I was saying, has discovered that in all of these ancient caves, there were pots and there were all pottery and all these things that they would leave in for loved ones for their journey into the afterlife, which of course has all been stolen. So none of it there now, except for this massive basin. But you can imagine how extraordinary that was back in the day. And you can imagine how extraordinary it was to discover that light, to be standing there and see this Neolithic light creeping down the tunnel. So, oops, hang on, got some more people coming in. How do I get them in? Here we go. So that's the beautiful story of Newgrange. It was one of my favorite places in the world. Let me stop this now. There's one, I can see you all again now. It's one of my favorite places, and I can see the chat. I wasn't able to see it earlier, sorry, when I was sharing. Oh, we've got, somebody from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I hope it's warm there. The sun is still coming up in the same position there. It does come up. Somebody asked me if the sun's coming up in the same position, even though the earth has moved a little on the axis. It does come up. It comes up for a couple of days on either side of the solstice, but it really only comes up for 4 or 5 days of the entire year, the one day, the 17 minutes being on the solstice. Now, the other places I mentioned earlier, Nouth and Douth, they're orientated towards the sun on equinoxes. They don't have the little lintel boxes, so it doesn't light up in the same kind of really remarkable way that that Newgrange does. So if any of you ever come to Ireland, I highly recommend you go take a little trip up to the Boyne Valley. It's one of the most extraordinary places on the earth. Even though I'm Irish, I still say that. It's really, really amazing. And you can really, and for those of you who are sensitive, and those of you who are healers, psychics, and mediums, when you walk into Nouth or Douth, you can especially, I mean, even just if you can get away, they have a visitor centre at Newgrange and there's usually tours around it. But I have a friend who works there, so I got my own tour. So I got away from the crowds. And when you can stand there by yourself in the quiet and just, you can really feel the power of these places. It's extraordinary. So I do recommend, if any of you are interested, to go and check that out. So we're just in a couple more minutes. I do want to get settled and get started on doing our guided meditation this evening. I really do. I'm not going to play any music. I'm just going to have to listen to my voice. So we will have some silences as we sit in meditation. The reason I'm not doing music and my voice is that we have found from experience that what Zoom does is if it thinks my voice or the music is background, it tunes it out. And usually it's my voice that tunes out. And then what I start to notice is people coming out of their meditation and going, what happened? Did I get kicked out or whatever? So I think it's easier if we just sort of sit together in a group in the silence of the guided meditation, the silence of the healing power. All right. So I will keep checking in with you. So you don't have to kind of come out of it and think, did Zoom throw me out of the room? They won't have done that. And even if they do, you can just come back in. All right. So before we move on and get settled, has anybody got any questions at all about Newgrange, about healing, about the solstice? If I can answer them, anything at all that you want to ask before we get in? I just want to give it about another 5 minutes for some people who are still trying to get into the room. So if any of you do have any questions, please do feel free to type them in the chat now. Maybe in a year or two after COVID, you could have a group go to Newgrange. God, that's a great idea, yeah. Everybody fly into Dublin. I actually think a friend of mine is in the room. I think I saw her earlier, who sort of lives up around there somewhere, so we'll get some recommendations for places to stay. But yeah, it's beautiful. Are we going to decide to go to Newgrange now? No, it's pitch dark. It's pitch dark in the middle of a field, so we're not going there now. So we are just going to settle into doing a healing meditation in the spirit of the light and hope of Newgrange. The solstice is the shortest, darkest day of the year. I talked about this a little bit as well when I was talking about the thin place for Samhain. It, Elizabeth, my mother's name is Elizabeth McCarthy. That's funny. Somebody saying their mother's name is Elizabeth McCarthy, and so is mine. What's implied by the 17-minute appearance of the light flooding the new? It's basically, it's related to the other question. What's the spiritual meaning of the solstice? It is basically, what it is it's a recognition. The solstice is the shortest, darkest day of the year. And we celebrate the solstice because the day after the solstice is the world, the earth renews. The days start to get longer, we start moving into the springtime, we start moving towards the spring equinox. What this does is the light of Newgrange is there to remind us that in the shortest, darkest day of the winter, there is still light, and the light will begin, and the days will be getting longer, and that light will continue to renew as we move forward out of these dark days. The Samhain being the around the time just after the autumn equinox, sort of is also the threshold of where we start going into all of these dark days where the earth begins to sleep after the harvest. The earth goes to sleep, the land is left to restore, and this continues until the winter solstice, when the days gradually start to become lighter again and the earth renews. So this is why I mean, I'm sure lots of different cultures have different reasons for celebrating the solstice, but that's what we celebrate here in this culture. Somebody's mum passed in the solstice. It's beautiful, I think, to pass into the rising light, the extending light, the light that lights the darkness. So I'm just sort of scanning the questions here. All right, so if everybody is good, if nobody's any more questions about Newgrange, anybody got anything they want to ask me about healing, or has anybody, if you could just chat in the box, ever done any healing, spiritual healing before, or spiritual healing with me? If you could just chat, just yes or no. If you haven't, just chat, and it will help me just to know how to sort of bring you through this. If you could just chat yes or no in the box. Yeah, so I'm just waiting. So a couple of people, most people yes, a couple of people no. Okay, so just to give me an idea of how to bring you through this. Okay, if somebody listened to the healing, there are healing meditations on my website as well. If anybody is interested in sitting themselves afterwards, you can sit for healing with the recording on my website. Those are free. Feel free to download them if you would like. All right, so it seems like most people, there are a few people who haven't done any healing before, and most people have done healing in some form or another. So let me just say briefly before I start, what we're going to do, what I'd like to do here is really just in the spirit of Newgrange, in the spirit of the light. I just want to bring you into the state of being receptive to the healing energy that comes from the spirit world. So I'm also, aside from ordinary evidential mediumship, I'm also a healing medium. And what I mean by that is we'll just sort of build into a state of attunement, which I'll bring. We attune to our spirit, to the cosmic consciousness, or to God, or whatever your name for that great power is. We will sit and attune to that. We will attune to the ancestors. We will attune to our spirit guides, all of whom exist in the cosmic consciousness. We will allow our spirit, and I'll bring you into this space, we will allow our spirit to be expressive and open to make that connection, to attune to that power, and to receive the healing by being in a state of attunement and blending with that power, right? What we will do then, we will sit with that for a while just to receive healing for yourself, right? Now, we will then be able to offer healing and to flow through you to others in need. What I will say about that is your job as in sitting in a state of attunement is not to try to dictate where the healing is going to go or who you should send it to, or where, if somebody's got a bad knee, let me heal their bad knee. Our job is just to hold the space, to connect with the power, to sit in that power, to set the intention that healing flows through you to others wherever it is needed most. So that in the wisdom of the spirit world, the wisdom of the cosmic consciousness, they will know where that healing is needed. You find quite often somebody will have an ulcer and you're like, send healing to their ulcer, when really what they need is emotional healing. And then the ulcer will heal. So it's not for us to decide. We're, even if you're a doctor, in this capacity, none of us are doctors. We are healers. We are spiritual healers, and that's what this is about. So anytime you're doing healing, we're never prescribing and we're never diagnosing. Well, our job is the simple act of being open, being attuned, holding the space for the power and the healing to flow from the cosmic consciousness, from that ancestral great wisdom, from our spirit guides, through us to others. So our job starts and ends with holding the space. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody clear on that? So the thing is that the less your mind runs, the less effort you put into this, actually, ironically, the more powerful it will be. All right. Everybody good? Anybody? If you've got any questions, you're not clear, pop them in the chat now. I'd really rather you ask me now, so that you're not sitting here. We want to be very, very still in body and mind when we start to do healing. And so I'd really, if you have any questions now, please do ask me now, because I'd rather you have all the clarity you need now, so that you're not sort of sitting in this space and your mind running around saying, did she say this or that, or what am I supposed to, because I really want you to be able to be very, very still. Everyone good? Okay. Everyone is good. Perfect. All right. Oh, Lorraine. So my friend Lorraine is here. She lives in the Boyne Valley. Lucky girl. She says we can all go stay with her in 2 years. So there we go. We've all got an invite to the Boyne Valley. Thank you very much, Lorraine. All right, so let's see. So everybody getting settled? Let's get settled back. All I want you to do is follow my voice. Because this is pinned on me, I can't see you all. So if any of you have any difficulties or troubles or anything as you go and you want to come out and you want to ask me, just send a direct message to me in the chat box and I will try to help you. But this is very, 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 it's a very beautiful, very relaxing and very healing practice, especially with such a large group as this. And I know some of you have done this with me before. I'm sure you can attest to how powerful this healing can be with a lovely group this size. What happens is everybody's energy all joins together in this room. It's really astonishing that it can happen over Zoom, but we have done this so many times since COVID started, and it's extraordinary the amount of power that can be shared between the group, which is, as we know, all over the world, which is just fabulous. So I'm very grateful that you're all here and you're all willing to sit for healing for yourselves and others this evening. So thank you very much for that. So if you would all like to just settle in, I'll just walk you through, just with the voice, through this healing. It probably lasts about 20 minutes or so, so make sure you're comfortable. I would like if you could just sit wherever you're sitting in such a way that you don't have to sort of tense your muscles to be able to keep yourself seated. So if you can just sort of sit and allow yourself to be well supported wherever it is you're sitting. If you lie down, you might fall asleep. So it's far better to actually be sitting up if you would. If you fall asleep, well, maybe you needed to sleep, but it is generally better if you can sort of sit up and hold the space that way. All right. So just everybody now settling back, closing the eyes, settling into a comfortable seat. Closing the eyes and taking a deep breath in. Just taking a deep breath in to bring yourself right here, right now, into the present moment. Deep breath and exhaling away the day, exhaling away gradually all the noise in the mind. The mind likes to be noisy. Just on the breath, becoming very quiet, very centered, very present. Just bringing your awareness just to your physical form in the chair in which you sit. Just aware of your weight on the world, the weight of your physical form. Just aware now as you scan your body very lightly, very gently, just releasing any tension that you find. Just allowing it to slip away. If you have anything to remember, you can just put it down for the moment. You can pick it up on the way out. But for the next 20 or so minutes, as a gift to yourself, give yourself the gift of presence. Just allowing any little noises that may be around you just to drift into your awareness, and then just let them go. Any bumps, anything at all. You may just hear the sound of the wind or the sound of the atmosphere, and just allowing yourself be fully aware of this world in which you live as it arrives into your awareness and as you let it go on the breath. Just aware of your presence. Just noticing any smells, noticing the temperature. How does it feel for you? How does your body feel in this moment on this planet? As you are not moving through space, but you are moving through time. Lightly aware of the world and your place in it in this moment. And now bring your focus to your heart center. And as you hold your focus there on your heart space, notice there a spark of bright white light. And with each breath, just allow that light to grow wider and brighter, just very gently allowing it to grow, not forcing it to grow, just allowing it to grow wider and brighter. So that it begins to fill your upper body, your rib cage, up to your head, spilling out around your frame, flowing down through your legs into your feet, flowing out around you, gently on the breath, so that you are surrounded by the bright white light that emanates from the heart of you, the light of your spirit. And on the breath, just noticing the light begins to fill the room very gently, just naturally filling the room around you, so that you are sitting in the bright white light of the power of your spirit, free and liberated, unimpeded by your tiny physical form, feeling the power and majesty of the spirit, your natural state, the state from which you came and the state to which you will return. Just sitting here for a few moments, just holding the breath. Breathing very gently now into that space. And should your mind wander, just gently allow those thoughts to go and return your focus to the bright white light that is flowing from you, through you, and out, filling the world around you. Just resting into this space, just feeling how it feels to just be in your spirit form. On the breath, eyes closed, relaxing and surrendering to the power of your own spirit. Allowing thoughts arise and allowing them to go. Returning your attention to the power and the presence of your spirit. The light emanating from the heart of you. Surrendering to the power of your spirit. Surrendering to the essence of you. Experiencing you in your natural form. Now very gently turn your attention to the space above your head. And there notice an even brighter white light. And once noticing this light, you see that it stretches out into the world above you, stretching out to fill the sky, stretching out into the universe, filling the galaxy, filling the universe, filling all universes, filling all dimensions with the bright white light, the light of God, the light of the cosmic consciousness, the light of the One, of the Brahman, of the Tao, of the first cause. And as you hold your attention on this light, feel the power and its brightness as it surrounds you, as it begins to unfold the spirit of you into the spirit of the One, so that you are surrounded with the bright white light everywhere, into infinity and eternity, absorbed and enfolded into the power of the One. Just resting here for a moment, just feeling how it feels on the breath in this place. Should the mind wander, just allow those thoughts go, gently bringing your focus back to the light of God, the light of all, of which you are a part. Just allowing yourself to flow, to float, gently flying and floating and flowing through this space. No physical restrictions, no limitations. Just stepping out of the body, leaving your physical form quite safely on the chair, and stepping into this power and into this light, allowing yourself to soar, floating and flowing into the light of all things. Now noticing in this space a white light, an even brighter light that approaches. And as it approaches, you realize that this is the light of the ancestors, the light of your guides, come to sit with you and to share with you in this power. all the healing and all the hope that is yours. Welcoming them as they join you. Thank you, friends. And sitting now as these guides and these ancestors surround you, feeling the healing that is being shared with you from this circle, surrendering to their power, surrender to their wisdom, and just be open to receive all of the love, all of the healing that is available here to you today. Surrender and receive. Feeling the love, feeling the power. Just receive. And should the mind wander, just bring your attention back to this circle, to the light. Surrender the thought and just be. Thank you, friends. And very gently in this space, just casting the eye around you, notice the lights of 60 or 70 other people, all sitting in this healing circle, receiving the healing that is offered from the divine. This is this group in this space. And then joining your light to all of the lights in this space, just allowing all of you with all of the ancestors and all of the guides to receive all of the healing flowing from the divine, flowing to you, flowing through you, flowing to each other person in this room, sharing in the power, offering and receiving. And now together offering this healing to those loved ones, friends or family, or animals or pets who are in need of healing today. Just allowing this healing that is freely offered to you to flow to you, through you, and to those you know in need. Limitless, infinite, eternal healing energy, freely flowing, freely offered to your loved ones in need. Allowing thoughts arise and go, returning your focus to the power that flows through you, that you offer freely to those in need. And now turning your attention to all in need across the planet, all people, all animals, all trees and plants and the planet itself. May healing flow from the divine through you all collectively here today, and to the planet and all upon it. Allowing the power to flow through you. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings feel loved. And now returning your focus back to the light, back to the group, back to the ancestors. Thanking each in turn for their service today. Thanking your guides. Thanking the ancestors. Thank you, friends. Thanking the divine. Thanking each other, each person in this group who has lent their spirit to the healing for all in need. Thanking each other. And finally, thanking yourself for your willingness to surrender ego, for your willingness to share healing. Thank you. Now allowing the light of the divine to move away, turning your focus once more to the space around you, to your own spirit, here in this room and on this chair. Once more touching the power of your own spirit as we begin to return now to this physical world. Becoming aware of your physical form on the chair on which you sit and your weight upon the world as you move through time. Returning your focus to the breath, your awareness to this moment only in time. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of the light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. Now taking a deep breath and exhaling, aware now of your weight in the room around you, of the smells and noises, the heat or cold. Making slight movements of the head and hands and feet, becoming aware now that you're back in this room, and on the breath, you can open your eyes. Okay. How is everybody? Everybody back? We haven't left anyone behind. Everyone's back on the planet. Okay. How are you feeling? Does everyone want to just drop a little note in the chat box and share with the group how you're feeling? Did everyone feel any difference, or did anyone feel any difference in the different stages as we went through there? Sitting with your own spirit, sitting with the group energy, and then sitting with the power of the divine. So people are writing peaceful, great in all caps, beautiful, blessed, expanded and bright, calm, grateful, lighter, blessed, peaceful and light, more peaceful, wonderful, and everyone's feeling very peaceful. That's beautiful. Deep gratitude, just in time. Beautiful. Shift, yes, felt the shift in energies. Did not want to return. Yes, that can happen, but alas, here we are. Forgiveness of the ancestors. That's interesting. That's great. Yeah, light and energized, spirit filled with joy. Beautiful, calm and peaceful. Grateful to the ancestors and myself to use this time to be with all of you. That's lovely. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. Lovely shift in energy. Blissful. Felt our healing of the planet. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't the feel? Did anyone notice? It feels like it almost gets stronger. When you're sitting by yourself, getting healing by yourself is one thing. When you start sharing healing with the group, it changes, right? You can feel so much more absorbed in it. And then sending healing to the planet, isn't it amazing? You would think that the more people you send it to, the more it would get diluted. In fact, the more people you send it to, the stronger it gets. Anyone notice that? With just me? No, I can see Stephen nodding and Victoria nodding. The healing of the planet, yes, more acutely aware. Calming gratitude. It's temperature change, that often happens, yeah. Much stronger connection with the higher side, harmonious, peaceful. Oh, and somebody saw their ancestors and guides. That's lovely. Beautiful, wonderful, supported. Very nice. I'm glad you felt supported. Felt a connection to the earth and all beings. Isn't that lovely to feel that kind of connection? You could feel the energy multiplying, yeah? Felt clearer. Your injury felt better already. How great is that? Beautiful to be part of the gathering. Much gratitude. Gratitude to me, gratitude to everyone in the group, from one person here. So beautiful. So I will say thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you very much for being willing to receive that healing, to surrendering the, like I say, it's not, surrendering the ego is not by any stretch of the imagination an easy thing to do. So well done, all of you. And thank you, all of you, as well, for all of. I mean, I could feel. I actually wanted to sit here and stop talking because I thought, oh, this is lovely. I'd rather just sort of sit here and feel all the energy that's being generated and have to keep talking all the time. So, so that was beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. I got a little bit of it for myself, which was beautiful. Somebody asked, who are the ancestors versus the guides? Guides, ancestors are people, ancestors in your own line. Guides are spirit beings that you're biologically, genetically not related to at all, higher wisdom, more enlightened beings that will choose to work with you in this lifetime. Hope that answers the question. Thank you to everybody. These are all coming as direct messages, so you can't see them all for some reason. I don't know why that is. So somebody is saying thank you to all of you for all of that healing that was shared. Yes, everybody's thanking everybody else. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, me. I'll have a little thank you there too. So lots and lots of thank yous to the group. They're all coming up on my chat as direct messages, so you can't see them all, unfortunately. But everybody's deepest gratitude. Oh, and loves the music. Yeah, they are flute music. It's really nice. Thank you, everybody. It was beautiful and wonderful. So, yes. So, did all of you? Did all of you feel? Did anybody not feel any change in the energy at all as you were sitting, as you were going through this? It's okay if you didn't. Some people don't. Yes, and gratitude for me and for each of you for holding the space for the healing to happen. Because it does take some energy, but usually, even though it's taking a lot of energy from you to do it, you actually get more energy back. So you can actually, oddly enough, feel quite energized after sitting in meditation, which is odd. Very powerful group energy, Stephen. Yes, very true. And thank you to everybody in the group. It was helpful and harmonious. Thank you. My first experience with your healing circle. So isn't that nice? What a nice experience that was. Lovely group, lovely energy being shared. So that's it for us this morning, I hope, or this evening, or wherever you are. It's nighttime here. I know it's morning where some people are. But I hope that you enjoyed hearing about Newgrange. I hope you enjoyed hearing about that renewing light, because as of from today, well, as of from Tuesday, the days are going to start getting longer. So that's one thing to bear in mind, that we are starting to move into the longer days now of the summer. And so I hope you have all enjoyed this evening. I hope you are all hopeful, healed, happy. And I will say good night, happy holidays, happy solstice, and maybe we will see you all at another talk at some point in the not too distant future. All right? Good night, everybody. Yes, somebody saying it's 2:22 there. Beautiful, that's true. Nice angel number. Oh, somebody felt themselves being hugged. Isn't that lovely? All right. Okay, we'll have a recording of this. We can send, if anybody wants to listen to it again, we'll send out an email with the recording, so you can, the meditation starts about half an hour in, so you can go straight to that if you want as well, but we'll get an email out to all of you if you want to sit for healing again. All right, take care, you all. Okay, bye-bye.